If you click this video because you're trying to grow your personal brand, attract more clients, or build business through content, I wanted to tell you something that took me a year to realize. I think most business owners are using AI in exactly the wrong way. Not because AI is bad. I use AI every single day because I think it is quietly making smart people look exactly the same. And if you don't change the way that you use it, you might spend your next 1 or 2 or 3 years actually creating content without building a personal brand that people actually remember. This isn't the another video about how to use ChatGPT prompt. This video isn't about how to use AI tool. This is definitely not going to tell you how to why you should stop using AI, those kind of things. Instead, I want to share the mindset shift that completely changed the way that I think about content, business, or building attention online. Because once I understood that, I stopped asking AI to tell me what to create. I started using to improve what I was thinking already. Before we get into this, I wanted to ask a small favor. Over past few months, I have realized this channel has reached a lot of different peoples, and I genuinely grateful to every single one of you. But this video is made for specific people. If you're a business owner, coach, consultant, agency owner, a community builder, someone trying to create content in English to attract clients and grow a business, then I would really appreciate your help. If this video gives you value, like it, share it, and leave a comment. Not because I'm chasing for numbers, but because every interaction tells YouTube exactly who this content should be reached. My goal isn't to reach everyone, my goal is to reach the people that I can genuinely help. So if you are one of those people, thank you so much. Now, let's me tell you what about the biggest mistake that I made when I started my building my personal brand. By the way, if you're watching this video and you are thinking, I honestly don't know if I'm thinking for myself anymore or if I'm just repeating what everyone else is saying, that actually what I help people with every single week inside my community. We don't just talk about YouTube, we break down positioning, ideas, offer, and how to run your own experience into content that actually attract clients. So if you're serious about building your personal brand instead of just posting videos, I will leave the community link in the comments. So I love to have you guys there. When I had that realization, I stopped opening my ChatGPT for a few days. Not because I thought AI was bad. I just wanted to understand something. If AI wasn't my problem, what it was. So I went back and looked every piece of content that I've created, every single title, video ideas, script, and note. Then I noticed a pattern. None of those ideas actually started with me. Every single started with someone else, a competitors, a trendy topic, a YouTube search, a ChatGPT conversation, an AI prompt. Everything started with something else thinking. None of this started with mine. That was painful to admit, but it was true. Because I wasn't creating, I was reacting. And there's a huge difference between the two things. Then I started looking at the creators around me. I started talking with peoples like business owners, coaches, consultant, community owners that who are creating communities for their business. People are trying to build their audience online, and almost everyone had the same exact workflow. They open ChatGPT, they ask for ideas, research competitors, generate a script, publish, repeat. That's the whole workflow that thousands of the people are actually doing the same thing. At first, I thought that's actually pretty smart because then I asked myself something I had never asked before. If tens of thousand people follow the exact same process, think about for a second. Imagine every restaurant owner in your city buying the same ingredient, using the same exact recipe, cooking it exactly the same way, then wondering why nobody remembers their restaurant. It does not make any sense. Yes, yet, that exactly what many of us are doing with content. We are asking the same tool, the same caution, following the same advice, watching the same creators, and hoping for our audience to see as unique. And that is completely impossible because uniqueness never comes from you copying someone else's process. It's come from living the experience other people haven't lived. And this is where I think AI get misunderstood. People says like AI replacing creators, and I don't think that is true. I think AI is exposing creators who never developed their own thinking in their first place. That is a completely different problem, because if AI can replace your content, maybe your content never contain enough of you. That was the harder truth for me to accept as well. Because when I realized I wasn't actually creating content for experience, I was creating content for information, and information is everywhere now. Every YouTube videos, every blog, every podcast, every AI tool, information become a commodity, but experience hasn't. Nobody has your conversation, nobody has your failure, nobody has your client story, nobody spent the same years solving the same problem that the way that you have. Those are the things that people actually connect with, not because they are perfect, because they are real. And once I understood that, everything about my content changed. I stopped asking like what video should I make, I instead of asking like what will happen this week, that changed the way that I think. That's a single caution completely changed my content strategy, because now the idea started with me, and I use AI to organize it, challenge it, improve it, not replace it. I think that's the order most people have backward. They start with AI and hope it leads to them the unique perspective. But that's not how perspective works. Perspective is earned through conversation, through failures, through experiment, through making mistake, and through building business, through working with few peoples. AI can organize those experience, but it cannot live them for you. And that's when I realized something that has completely changed how I see the future of content. And that's the creator who win over the next 10 years won't be the one who just know the most. They will be the one who think the clearest. And that's bring me the biggest mistake shift that I have this year. If that's where you are, I actually offer a free strategy call. I will look at your content, your positioning, your business, and figure out how your own experience can become your content that people actually want to watch. If that sounds useful, link in the description. I wanted to tell you something. You know what is funny? When I watch creators like Alex Hormozy or Charlie Morgan, I almost never watch because I wanted information. I think about that for a second. I already know how to get more views. I already know how to get at better at thumbnail. I already know what is hook is. I already know how YouTube works. So why I still like watch those creators, those are providing like this kind of content? Not because they are don't just teach me what to do, they teach me why they have did it. They tell me about the business that they almost lost, the hiding mistake that cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars, the offer that completely failed, the client that changed how they think. Those are the moments that I remember. Not a framework, not a bullet point, not a story that they tell, because story carry experience. Not a framework, not a bullet point, this story, because story carry experience, and experience change people, information really does. That's when I ask myself a very uncomfortable question. If I enjoy watching people because of their experience, why I was creating content with almost no experience in it? Then I started watching my own video, not as a creator but as a stranger, and I noticed something. I was trying to sound smarter, professional, or well researched. I wanted people to actually think this is guy knows what he's talking about. But do you know what is actually was missing? Was me. I wasn't talking about my failure, I wasn't talking about my client, I was talking about the mistake that I had. I wasn't talking about why I changed my mind. I was hiding behind the information. And then I realized something. Maybe creator don't use AI because they are lazy. Maybe they use AI because it is safer option for them. It is much easier to say according to ChatGPT than to say I was wrong. It was much simpler to summarize someone else's idea than to share their own opinion, because your own opinion can be judged, your experience can be challenged, and your failures can be felt like vulnerable. That's what exactly people connect with. People don't connect with perfection, they connect with your honesty. And today, information has become one of the cheapest thing on the internet. Think about this. If you need marketing advice, you ask AI. If you need business idea, you ask AI. If you need better script, you ask AI. If you need a summary of anything, you ask AI. And YouTube has their own AI feature now. You need YouTube tips, again you have YouTube AI feature. There's thousands of videos. Information is no longer advantage, everyone has access of it. So the caution isn't who has the most information, the real caution is who has lived something worth talking about. That's where the real opportunity is, because nobody has lived your life, nobody has had your conversation, nobody has made your mistake, and nobody has solved problem exactly the way that you solve. Those experiences are impossible to download, they are impossible to copy, and they are impossible for to AI to generate. When I think about videos I'm almost excited to make, almost none of them started with inside GPT. They started with somewhere much more ordinary. A client asking a question, a conversation inside my community, a business owner telling me they were stuck, a mistake that I made, a result that didn't expect it, a moment that made me stop and think. That's where the idea was born, not inside prompt, inside a real life. Then once I understand that lesson, like once I know what is actually have to believe, then when I open AI, not to find idea, to organize it, to challenge it, to make it more clear to me to understand it, that's completely change the relationship with me and the GPT or LLM that I use. One started with thinking and other replaced with thinking. Simple as that. I think one of the biggest lies creators tell themselves is I don't have enough experience. I don't believe that anymore. I think what they are actually saying is I don't think my experience are valuable. Those are completely different problem, because the thing that you are thinking is ordinary might be think something else that has been struggling for years. The mistake that you have made last month could save someone 6 months, and the conversation that you had yesterday could become your next viral video. The lesson that you have ignored could become the reason someone's follow you, and your experience don't have to be extraordinary. They just have to be real. So I made a promise to myself. I stopped thinking what content should I create, instead of I'm asking right now what challenge the way that I think this week. Like it's completely changed. The one caution changed everything, because every week something changed. A client says something unexpected, a business experiment work, another failures, a creator asks a question that I never considered. Those movement become an idea, and those idea become a video, and those video attract the right people I think to work with. Not because the information new, but perspective is mine. And that's when I realized something more importantly. People don't remember creators because they know more. They remember creator because they help them to see things differently. Information gets attention, and experience build trust, and perspective build a brand. And in this world where AI can generate almost unlimited information, I believe your perspective become your greatest competitive advantage. That's exactly why I build this community. Every single week we review content, discussion, ideas, looking at the real businesses and helping each other things like better, not to just create more content. If you want people around you who are building brand like the same way, come and join us. And I love to see you there. Link in the description. The one caution that completely changed how I look content. Not what should I make the video, not what is trendy, not what should I ask GPT. Instead of started asking myself, where's the demand? That sounds business caution because it is. One mistake that I made for a long time was treating YouTube like a social media. And today, I don't think YouTube is social media. I think YouTube is one of the biggest search engine in the world. People comes because here they have a problem, they are looking for an answer, they are trying to make a decision, they are trying to save their time, and they are trying to avoid their mistake. If nobody is looking for their problem you are solving, it does not matter how good is your video is, it does not matter how good your video is. This is what is difficult for me to also accept, because sometimes we have a great idea, I love, I think this going to be amazing video, then I look the numbers, nobody was searching for it, nobody was talking about it, there was not enough demand. There wasn't realization something as a creator. We fall in love with our ideas because, but the market fall in love with the demand. Those are the two different things. So today my workflow is look like completely different. I don't wake up and ask what should I create, instead of I spend time observing. I started watching my audience, what is watching, I study my pattern, I read my comments, and I notice questions that people are asking over and over again. I pay attention to conversation. I look at what consistently generating attention. Not because I wanted to copy, because I wanted to understand why people care. That's a huge difference. And then ask myself one question more. Do I actually have something useful to add? Not can I make the better version, but can I make a different version? Because better is subjective and different is memorable. Only after I answer this question, that's when I open AI. Not to give an idea, but to help me to organize the information that I already collected. That's why I keep saying AI should validate your thinking, not to replace it. When I talk to creators, especially the people building their first personal brand, I hear the same concern. I need a better script, I need a better camera, I need better editing, I need better niche, or I need a better positioning. And I understand it because I used to think exactly the same way. But today, I think those are the wrong problem. The real problem is commitment. People want clarity before they take action. Business don't work that way. Content does not work that way. You don't discover your positioning by thinking, you discover it by publishing. You discover it with your audience by not guessing it. You discover it by talking to people. You don't discover it by your messaging or brainstorming. You discover it by explaining the same thing all over again and again and again until the people finally understand. That's how clarity is built, not before action, because of action. One of the biggest shifts that I've made this year is where I get my idea from. It used to be on YouTube, then it become AI, and today the conversation. Someone of my best idea doesn't come from prompt. They come from the client that asking a question and I couldn't answer immediately. Then I came from someone is telling me I have been creating content for 6 months and nothing is working. I came from business owners starting the same frustration all over again. That's when patterns appear. The pattern become content, and AI is incredible at finding information, and people are incredible at revealing emotion, and business are built on understanding emotion, not just information. At the point I stopped thinking like a creator, I started thinking like a business owner. I changed everything. A business does not ask what do I wanted to sell, it asks what people already wanted to buy. Creators should think the same way. Don't ask what do I wanted to talk about, they should ask what problem is someone is desperately trying to solve today. Then bringing your own experience into the conversation, that's where the content become valuable, because you are not creating content for yourself, you're creating content for demand. And today my process is incredible simple. Demand, then I move through the observation, then I move through the experience that I hold, then put my own perspective, then give it to AI, then it become a content. Notice what is missing. AI isn't the top of the funnel now. It's almost the end of it. Because if AI comes first, your thinking never has a chance. But if your thinking comes first, AI become one of the most powerful tools you will ever use. That's the different. I think this is where most creators are get stuck. They believe they are one prompt away from finding this perfect idea. I don't believe that anymore. I think you are one conversation away, one failure away, one observation, and one realization away. The idea is already around you. You have been looking at the wrong place. And once I understood that, I stopped chasing for ideas, and you should too start chasing for understanding. Everything changed after that. Every time a new AI tool launch, everyone is asking the same question: will AI replace creator? Will AI replace marketer? Or will AI replace businesses? And personally, I think that's the wrong question, because history has shown us something. Technology really replace people. It replace people who refuse to adapt it. The calculator didn't replace mathematician. Google didn't replace the teacher. The internet does not replace the businesses. It changed how valuable certain skill can become, and I think AI is doing the exact the same thing. The real question isn't will AI replace me? The real question is what become the more valuable because everyone has AI now. The question has changed how I look the world and the AI era right now. I think about it like 20 years ago. If you knew something other people don't, you had an advantage. Then Google arrived. Information become easier to find. Now AI has arrived. Information is almost instant. Now what next? The value move, not the information, not more information. It move from information to interpretation to judgment to experience to perspective. Because AI can tell you what happened, it cannot tell you why should you care. AI can replace 10 books, it can't replace 10 years of building a business. That's why I think individual creator become more valuable, not because they know more, because they have lived more and they know how to explain what they have lived. I think many businesses are about to make a huge mistake. They're just going to use AI to create content, more blogs, more LinkedIn posts, more emails, more YouTube videos, more content that never before. But here's the problem. Every businesses has access to the same tool. Why would anyone choose one over another? That's the answer isn't better AI. The answer is strong trust. Trust isn't built because your content is informative. Trust is built because your content feels real. When I worked with business owner, I don't remember the perfect script. I remember the conversation, I remember the hesitation, I remember the mistake they have made, I remember the lesson that changed their company. What people wanted to buy into, not polished information, but authentic perspective. So if I go back to the day that I uploaded my first video, I tell myself something very simple. Stop asking AI what to do. Start asking the market. Stop believing the prediction. Start believing the number. Stop trying to sound intelligent. Start trying to be useful, because the market does not reward the effort, it rewards the relevance, and relevance comes from the understanding people, not prompt. If I had understood that earlier, I've probably become the most like save months of frustration, maybe even years. But I'm also grateful that I have made those mistakes, because without them, I wouldn't have learned this lesson. People oftenly ask me, Avinash, what kind of content should I create next? And today my answer is completely different than it was years ago. Don't ask what should I post, ask what I have learned that change how I think. That's the content. Maybe it can become your failure, maybe it can become your successful project, maybe it can become the conversation, maybe it can become from losing money, maybe it can become building your business. Those movements are intellectual property. Nobody can copy them. AI can't replace them. Your competitor can't steal from you. Those the experience become your brand. I honestly think that we are entering at the very best in the history of personal brand right now. Not because of AI exists, because everyone has access to the same information, which means being different become easier, not harder. The opportunity isn't to create more content, is to create more original thinking. The opportunity isn't become a louder, it become a clearer. The opportunity isn't to know more, it is connecting the dot with two peoples don't see it yet. That's where the brand are built, that's where the trust is built, that's where the businesses grow. So when I ask people what is the future of content, I don't use AI. I say the future belongs to the people who actually think, people who observe, people who actually experiment, people who fail, people who change their mind, people who have courage to share what they have actually have lived. Because AI can generate information, but it never generate your life. That's exactly why I believe your perspective will become the most valuable asset that you know. If this video changed the way that you think, I don't let you do, just end here. Join the community, link in the bio, or just leave a comment and tell me what is the biggest idea that you have taken away from this video today. Because I genuinely believe the next generation of creators won't grow because they know more. They will grow because they think differently. And if I can help you to build that kind of business, I love to work with you. Before you move to another video after watching this video, I wanted to ask one question, not as a creator, not as a business owner, just as a person. Imagine 5 years from now, AI become like 100 times smarter than you are today. It write better, it edit better, it like create video fast, it understand human psychology better, almost does everything. Now ask yourself one question: why would anyone still watching you? Like seriously, why? Don't answer is too quickly, because the caution that are nothing to do with AI, it has to do with everything to do with you. If your answer is because I know more, I don't think that's enough anymore. If your answer is because I can create better videos, I don't think so it is enough either. People don't remember creators because they know more. People remember creators because they challenge the way that they think. Sometimes I ask myself, 10 years of now, what do I actually want people to remember? I don't want them to remember the thumbnail. I don't want them to remember a title. I don't want to remember them one of my viral video. I want them to remember a feeling. I want them to remember that after watching my content, they started thinking differently, not because I gave them more information, because I helped them to see something they couldn't like see before. That's the creator that I wanted to become, not a creator that almost most subscriber have. The creator who have changed how you think actually. Because if you have changed how you think, you can change how they think. And then when you change how they act, then you can change their life. That's the responsibility, not a content strategy. Think about something that you can lose: your subscriber, your views, your client, your revenue, your algorithm, platform, business. All of them can disappear. And there's something that nobody can take away from you: the way that you think, the lesson that you learned, the failure that you survived, the conversation that you have, the wisdom that you build, and those become the part of you. They're not stored in ChatGPT, they are not stored in YouTube, they are stored in your life. That's why I believe your perspective is the most greatest asset. Because even if everything disappear tomorrow, you can build it all over again. That's what I'm doing right now as well. Not because you know the algorithm, because you have become the kind of person who understand people. You know what's is funny? When I started creating my own content, I thought I was trying to grow a business. Looking back, content changed me so far. It changed my business. The way that I looked, the video forced me to think more clearly. Every comment, every conversation, like I listen better now. Every client forced me to understand problem more deeply. Every mistake forced me to become better version of myself. I thought I was creating content, but content was creating me. And I don't think people enough talk about it. Creating content isn't just a marketing, it's a personal development, because every time you teach, you discover what you actually believe. Every time you explain something, you expose the gap that your own thinking. Every time someone challenge you, either you grow, either you hide. Content has made me more patient, more curious, more willing to admit when I'm wrong. And honestly, that's the lesson worth far more than views. So before you open ChatGPT again, before you ask another content idea, before you search another prompt, I want you to do one thing: take out a notebook, open your note tab, and answer these three questions. What happened this week that changed how you think? What conversation made you see things differently? What mistake taught me something that I wish I knew earlier? Don't ask AI first, ask yourself. Because those answer is your next video and your next post, your next newsletter, and next business lesson. Your life is producing content every single day. Seriously. Most people are just too busy to search for the idea to notice it. So, if you're watching this entire video, I want you to remember one thing: Don't use AI to replace your thinking, use AI to sharpen it. Don't build a brand on borrowed opinion, build it on earned perspective. Don't become another creator who publish information, become someone who help people to see world differently, because information will be always cheaper, technology will always become faster, AI will always become smarter, but one thing that always stay there, a person who is willing to think deeply, speak honestly, and share your failures and help other people grow from them. I believe those creators will build a biggest business, the strongest community, and the brand that remember, not because they had better perspective. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.